want to make that clear. We did not go on strike for integration. We went on strike for a new building. If the power structure had given us a new building.
You hear that? They said they didn't go into integration for strike for integration. They were striking for a new building. But the white man seized on the opportunity, just like they did with Black Lives Matter. They saw they was killing us, and they saw that they wanted to get Hillary in office. They seized on the opportunity to galvanize us. Now, meanwhile, the Democrats starved black people for the last 8 years. But they needed to motivate black people to get them out to vote. And we so dumb, Lord forgive us. We so dumb, we brainwashed and so blind in this place. I don't mean to say we dumb, but we just brainwashed and destroyed in this place. We don't never see the hustle coming. We so busy thinking we the hustler that we don't never see the hustle coming. When they started that way back with Trayvon Martin, they started preparing for Hillary to get in the White House. And they started by starting the protest up and ginning it up and ginning it up and ginning it up. We already been protesting and going to be protesting past when Black Lives Matter and them shut down and Hillary's in the White House. Right. We've been protesting from way back, blazing up on these streets. But then when they get ready to come in, all of a sudden, it's tens of thousands of people on that issue. Why? Because they're running it with millions of dollars in the background. I told you, General Muhammad showed me a tape that blew my head off. He showed me a tape where he went into the auditorium at a charter school. He was passing by and opened up the door to the charter school, and they had Black Lives Matters people inside the auditorium chastising the black and Hispanic kids about voting and about it depends on their life. I mean, trying to stir them up to get out there and vote. And this is months ago. And they was doing it. They had it on phone messages. The school calling you. Make sure you get out and do the vote. Calling the parents to vote. That's how they running these operations, man, with millions of dollars behind them. The only real people that ever stood up against this empire was the I.S.U.P.K. We the only ones ain't been bought. We the only ones right now. We the only ones ain't been bought. Every other group, go back to the 70s, the 60s. Every one of those groups all only existed because of their collaboration with white people. That's the only way they existed. If they didn't collaborate with white people, they collaborated with the Arabs. Right. But they collaborated with some other nation outside of our people as a means to gain notoriety and power. The I.S.U.P.K. has always been and will always be totally separate from every other nation on earth.
Come on, I was just going to bring out a point to confirm what you just brought out about that, how much the government controls what we think, what we want. We get railroaded by them. I'm watching this white reporter who was talking about gay rights. And he was telling white politicians or Democratic politicians not to fight for gay rights, that Hollywood could do it. Because he doesn't want them to lose their elections fighting for gay rights before middle America is ready for it. And he brought up the example of Barack Obama. This was the guy from Paramount. And he said before Barack Obama became president, Hollywood was on purpose making black men play presidents on TV.
Dang.
And he brought up Morgan Freeman.
Dang.
He brought up Morgan Freeman playing God on everything. Yep. And brought up some other show, 24, where they had a black president. He named a ton of movies.
Wow.
That I remember had a black president.
You see that?
And he said,
that's brainwashed.
He said, and we going to do the same thing for Hillary, which made my head go to The Good Wife. There's a ton of shows with a woman president right now on TV. And he says, so when it comes to the gay movement, let Hollywood handle that because we will make middle America accept homosexuals the same way we did a black president.
We'll show you they shaping the whole society. That means Hollywood going out across the whole world.
Morgan Freeman is everyone's concept of God.
Yes, he is.
And that makes them vote Barack Obama in the White
House. We'll show you they playing psychological games on the people, man.
That's right.
Which, once again, the only thing cuts through that is these scriptures. These scriptures is what cuts through that. Give me what you got.
Proverbs 3:31.
Damn, that's it.
Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways.
Right. Envy not his oppressor, man. And we're not to choose any of his ways.
Right.
We're not to choose no part of this devil, man.
Right.
We're not to choose no part of this kingdom. We to serve Christ to the very end, man. And in serving Christ, his kingdom gonna be raised up. Because, brother, these kingdoms here, they going to war. You hear me? They going to war. We got more on this tape?
Basically the same point.
Basically the same point he be making. Like, that's amazing. He did not, he said they just wanted a new building. And once again, that's how they get us every time. They starve us while they show themselves in glory and power. And then in our starving, we like, well, how are we going to get that? And they say, oh, here's how. You come and integrate up under us. That's how you get it. When we should love that shack.
Right.
We should love that school shack because it's all black people in it. We should love them ripped up books that we had because it's only us. Because we're moving forward in our own goals. But once you get them nice textbooks and you go sit up in that white school, then that's why all them black students always protesting on them college campuses.
That's right.
Half of the reason is because they walking around feeling inferior on them campuses.
That's right.
Like, we had a lot of infrastructure that we could have utilized. Since the 1800s, we had black universities. Man, since the 1800s, we could have piled our kids in them universities and got all kinds of scholarships and stuff.
Right.
Instead, they doped us up, destroyed our families, and instead sent all the East Indians and Orientals to college. They became the new dentist and the doctor. Now you go to the dentist and the doctor and so forth, and it's all them. Unless you get an Edomite. It's all them. Meanwhile, all them is done made it because they were the ones that were not targeted. We better return to the Lord. We was never brought here to be part of Egypt, aka America. That's not why we're here. We was here for our punishment, but that time is up.
Right.
Now it's time to restore the nation, man. The 12 lost tribes of the children of Israel. Anybody want to chime in? You can get in anytime y'all
Could, sir.
Please.
He's saying what you just said about how white people had a nice cafeteria, they had a shack,
Could we play
they
that?
had nice buildings.
Play that part.
I would not be sitting here talking to you right now. I would not have been a part of Brainwashing Board of Education. I grew up in Prince Edward County, Virginia. And during my early years, I realized that there was a deficiency in regards to equality. When I got ready to go into high school, I realized that we were still being programmed for failure by virtue of the fact that instead of them putting up a new building for the students, they put up 3 top-heavy shacks. They didn't have central heat. They had pipes that were sold. It rained in a lot of them. So we had to use books that were hand-me-down books, and they had writings in there that were not pleasant for color folk to read. We weren't called black then, we were called colored or Negro. And so we knew that things were not right. We knew that under Festus versus Ferguson, it said accepted but equal, but it was everything except being equal.
I gotta say one thing on it. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna let y'all get in on this. Like, let me tell you something, which is so evil. That idea that they told black people about separate but equal was so ignorant for us to even believe it. First of all, the world is not equal. Every nation on earth ain't equal.
Right, right.
So why the hell would we think we're going to be separate but equal with the white man in his kingdom? Like, that's what got us on the path to begging him for our so-called share.
Right.
When we should have been separate and not looking for equality, but looking for superiority.
That's right.
Over him. We should have been like, well, we want separate but equal. We should be like, we're going to build ourselves up to be above this man.
That's right.
Okay, just like they do. They fight, they try to be better against other nations.
That's right.
So what do you think the Olympics is about? The boxing is about.
Right.
About who is the champion, who is number one. And that's what we should have been doing. Instead of trying to be number one, That you see how he said we knew something was wrong because it was supposed to be separate but equal, but it wasn't that. It was separate, but it wasn't equal. Right. It was never supposed to be equal. It was supposed to be what we were supposed to make it in the name of the Most High.
Right.
Instead, we went and begged them to be equal, man.
That's right.
Let's play a little bit more because I know we run the show. Oh, Shabbat was going to bring out something.
I just said a scripture.
Come on, let's bring it.
Hebrews 13:5.
Listen to this, y'all.
Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have.
Right. Be content with what we got. And listen, and we'd have a lot. We build a nation that's why they want to integrate. And that's the thing we keep missing. We keep missing that the whole point of them integrating us was fear of our rise.
Right.
When that's what should have been, we should have been like, yo, we should preserve our rise. We should preserve ourselves as a people. Instead, we looked at it like, you know, let's join them because they so want us to integrate and be fair. How dumb and simple could we have been? They was afraid of our rise. Because once again, look at you in every arena. Music, sports, education, everything. You excel above every nation. Right. Every nation comes here. From the from the darkest corners of the earth, somebody got diplomats and kids and students here. None of them excel like black people, Hispanic and Native Indians. None of them do the things that you do, man. None of them excel above. Now, remember, the United States got every country here. Why isn't only blacks and Hispanics excelling in the Olympics? We're all the American Chinese and American Arabs and American. Ain't none of them prospering like we do in terms of those abilities, man. And there's a reason for that, because we the chosen people of the Lord, the lost 12 tribes of Israel. So as a result, they saw that and they knew we had to suppress that. We cannot allow. That's what the whole drugs was about. Let me hit you with something else they came out with. Salak, I'm gonna let you get in. They came out with remember, Barack Obama recently apologized for the spreading of, I forget which venereal disease that they spread it in Guatemala. Y'all heard about that? Brother, it came out in the news. He apologized to the government of Guatemala for the 80 some odd deaths that occurred. And you can Google this, where they went out and spread venereal diseases just like they did to black people with syphilis in the Tuskegee experiment. They spread venereal diseases into Central and South America. Right. We know they put the syphilis in the brothers because of the Tuskegee experiment. So who knows what else? And once again, here's what's amazing. The Nazis, I told you, I studied the Nazis because America is doing to us exactly what the Nazis did to the so-called Jew. The Nazis did the exact same experiments on the so-called Jew. Did the same experiment. They had a doctor, Muhammad used to tell me about this way back then until I saw it in the news. They had a doctor here in Pennsylvania who went into the prisons. Y'all remember that? And went into the prisons and did experiments unbeknownst on black men in the prisons. He did skin experiments where, I mean, they lived in torture in these prisons with boils all over their body and all kinds of diseases. He's in there doing experiments on them with government funding. And do you know that bastard is the one that come out with that drug, Clarion, them allergy drugs? Claritin. That allergy drug? That allergy drug was made based on torturing black men in prison. Like, they done did these type of experiments on us, man. And they knew what the hell they was doing with this. Like, this ain't happening just like life ain't just happening in the earth. This whole American idea, you see a white boy on the surfboard, you think life is just free willy and everybody doing their thing and, you know, hard work and you gonna be fine. Oh, that's a damn lie. They manipulating and operating the whole society the way they wanted to go. And the Nazis did the same exact thing. I mean, they moved whole countries. They moved and displaced and did things to and experiments on. And brother, the white man is doing the same thing to us. And this is why we can call on Christ quick. Right. We get taken out of this place. Y'all want a little more? Y'all let's get a little bit more. Oh, Slocky, Paul, you was gonna bring out something?
I was reading the scripture.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead and read.
Okay. Hebrews 13:5. Let your conversation be without covetousness.
Right, without covetousness, man. Taking of somebody else's things.
Right.
We shouldn't have been trying to covet his world and his kingdom. We should have got out of slavery and been trying to get away from him.
Right.
And this poor brother, now he's highly educated and don't know he's brainwashed.
Right.
He is a highly educated black man, but don't realize his desire for equality is a dream in his mind. How in the hell you want? That's like you trying to tell Russia you want equality with Russia, or trying to tell France you want equality with France. France, like, the hell that got to do with me? You live your life, I live ours. Your country do what you do, our country gonna do what we do. And if it comes to a conflict, then it's war. That's what happens around the world. The problem with black people is you in this country trying to have separate with equal at that time, and now trying to have integration and equality at this time.
Right.
And none of it got nothing to do with you because you belong to the Lord and they belong to Satan.
Right.
Two different nations. Like you said in Genesis, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. Talk about 2 different people here. Go ahead, Hop.
And be content with such things as ye have.
Right. We should have been content with our nation. I'm content with the UPK.
That's right.
We don't need no white people. We don't need no white members. Some of you done got weakened and joined and got brought white people in. Some of you tried to turn white people into Israelites. Tried to say John Travolta was an Israelite. Tom Cruise was an Israelite. You tried to Sylvester Stallone was an Israelite. You tried to come out with what? Bruce Lee. I say Bruce Lee. 3'5" noodle eating gook. You gonna say that's an Israelite? And an actor in a black man's Adidas suit at that. You gonna turn around and say that's an Israelite? Why? Because you seeking love of another nation, right? When you had no business doing that. Stop looking at the other nations and what they got and thinking that you supposed to have the same thing they got. The Lord gonna destroy this place.
Right.
Global thermonuclear war. So they actually on the bottom. Go ahead, Op.
For he has said, I will never leave thee.
The Lord, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Nor forsake thee.
That he would never leave us and forsake us. So we don't have to beg to be with them, right, or to join them.
That's right.
Or to be a part of their nation. We don't need to do that. Because why? The Lord gonna raise this nation up. These 12 tribes up. He's gonna pour the Holy Spirit up in these brothers and sisters. That's right. And this nation gonna rise in the earth while he bring these other nations down. They believe because of their technology and their science, they're gonna do something. The Lord said his science is falsely called. God, that's right. That's what the scriptures say.
God, that's right.
The Lord don't care nothing about that stuff, huh? All right, let's get a little more of this.
Yeah.
Then we gonna
talk about the gymnasium white people.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to hear that part
right here.
You got
Cafeterias, they had gymnasiums. We had none of those facilities in our school. We saw that we were being cheated of an education, and we decided that we would do something about it. We decided that we would go on strike, and on the 23rd of April, 1950, that we were being cheated of an equal, but there was everything except being equal.
Let me stop. Let me say something. Let me say something else too, man, that black people don't realize, and this should be already commonly known. Anybody that educates your children rules your kingdom.
That's right.
Like the whole fact that we had to, like, we were forced into going to school. Like they made laws that said every child must go to school. Every child must. Meanwhile, the white kids was able to go on their farms. They said that's how homeschooling got created. Homeschooling got created because they were passing so many laws to make everybody's kid have to go to school, when the white people was like, well, what about our farms? What about our businesses? We need these kids to work our farm. So the white man said, okay, well, we'll let y'all homeschool while everybody else in the inner cities got to bring their kids to school. And the point of it was to educate them in the white man's way of thinking. And that's what happened to this brother. You see how the brother said they had gymnasiums, they had this. And then we decided we was going to do something about it,
Right.
which was meaning they was going to now go and beg the white man. They think they fight and doing something, but they was really going to go beg the white man to give them what the white man had.
That's right.
The teachers should have marked out the things that was racial written in them old books.
Right.
They should have put tape on them damn books.
That's right.
They should have painted the damn chairs.
Uh,
They should have brought in biscuits in the morning, cooked from home, so the kids could feel better. And then gave them their education, got them their degrees, and they would have had a 10 times better person, because this person would not have been brainwashed by white people, which was such a horrible mistake. So, these brothers that done been to them black universities, I told you my sister went to Lincoln University. They got a different outlook than black people that went to colleges more integrated. Now them universities is all integrated, but they was around the last generation that was able to be in there where it was all black. And it was a different experience, and their mindset is different than black people who's educated in the top universities in America right now, because their mind can't go to what Christ is talking about, his own kingdom.
right.
You know what I mean? Their mind can't go there because they ain't achieved nothing being completely separate from white America. So in their mind, how could it even be done?
Right.
Which is the mentality of a slave. Y'all can chime in, anybody.
If I could say
Come
that.
on.
This video is so depressing in that this entire civil rights movement, Plessy versus the Board of Education, school integration, was because some brothers in the South wanted a new cafeteria and auditorium. Like, they wanted an auditorium. They saw white auditoriums, white gymnasiums, and went on strike, saying, listen, we ain't going to school unless you give us a good, decent auditorium like white people, because the previous court cases, Plessy versus Ferguson, demanded that you give us equal, that we be separate but equal. And from needing that new auditorium, it blew up because of rich Negroes who didn't want an auditorium, but wanted to get to that white school.
Yes.
So then they pushed us into the white school, and here's what's sad. We never got the auditorium.
Yes.
That's the worst. Like,
We still don't have it.
We still do not have the auditorium. We went from that pleasant place of beautiful black people who had to go into a room with the ceiling leaked sometime.
Right.
The ceiling leaked sometime, and we fought and protest, got into white schools, and still never got the auditorium. But we got Joe Clark, Lean on Me, Newark, New Jersey, Hellhole, Martin Luther King Avenue, Martin Luther King High School, any city, USA, and no auditorium. This is something I could bring out that you always say that I never learned because I like rich and expensive things. But you always say this, that we should love going into the ghetto and going to black restaurants, like, and going in the black community, because okay, there's an inconvenience with being and shopping and going to school with black people that repels people who were not raised in segregation. You get my point? Like,
right.
It's like it's an inconvenience. It's a griminess.
It's a griminess because you got a choice.
Because you got to, you know that you could have this waitress that brings you water every 10 seconds and is polite, or this tattooed sister right here who's going to be mad if you don't make your order quick.
And the menu going to be short.
And the menu is
have half of what you
they're
order.
going to have half of it. And now you sit and choose. And if you think you have a choice, you go to the white one if you're weak.
Yes.
But you should sit at that restaurant where half of the menu is not there.
And if I could, Mom, that's such a good point in this. And if you had any balls, you would sit in that restaurant, suffer what you got to suffer in that black restaurant, and guess what? One day you'll look up and there'll be a black woman that speaks perfect English that brings you water every 10 seconds because you built that thing by coming to that restaurant. But you'll never get it by dumping it and going to the other damn restaurant. We should love the situation we in as far as being black, because it guarantees us a kingdom of heaven. Blessed are the poor, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
That's right.
Like, it guarantees us that, and we should build and thrive on that until Christ returns. And like, and you know what I'm saying? And then we'll have some. And when you get finished at the end of the day, I eat out in restaurants. You see my gut, okay? I eat out all over everywhere. And I'm telling you, I can tell you unequivocally that I have never, ever gone to a restaurant owned by another nation and received the same amount of food for the same price that I do in the poor, tore down black restaurant, which is amazing to me. I can go to a Benjamite restaurant and get a plate of food that lasts me 2 days for $10. I go to Olive Garden, I gotta spend $50, and there's so much damn salt in there. By the time I get to the crib, I'm trying to drink a smoothie to run the salt out of my You understand? Because, and meanwhile, and it's $50. So how ignorant can we be? There's so many black restaurants, man, like Daniela's father's restaurant in Philly. We went up there a second time. Like, I mean, just in case it was, you went a couple more times, just in case it was an anomaly when we went up there. Brother, we sat up there, bro. He got the best chicken wings on earth up in this spot. Julian's in Philadelphia. He got the best chicken wings you ever had. Mac and cheese, he give you a portion out of this world. Candy yams, all of that. And brother, you ain't gonna spend nowhere near what you would spend for half of that quality food in a white restaurant. And once again, because we don't love ourselves and because we're the only people, because we have no identity, don't have a sense of we need to preserve our nationality. If we had that sense, we wouldn't be marrying white women. Our sisters wouldn't be marrying white men. We would not be doing the things that we do that help us. We wouldn't be aborting our children. We wouldn't be buying and spending every dime in their restaurants and businesses. We wouldn't be making the Koreans rich off of fake hair. We wouldn't be doing any of those things. But once again, the whole reason the New World Order and the United Nations want to wipe out cultures is because cultures are built by the needs of those particular people. Like, we eat the food we eat because of our culture and need of our people. The same would happen if we kept that. In other words, just the same way we adopted weeds and black women wearing weeds all over the earth, guess what? If we couldn't go to them other nations, we would adopt braiding our hair like we did back in the 70s, and it would become the style and our culture. Our culture is supposed to be getting shaped by the needs of our people to strengthen our nation, not by how much we join. We got a culture built completely on the need of other nations. We got to get our weeds from them. Our women get their nails done from them. All our clothes come from them. Our housing comes from them. Our land comes from them. Our currency is based on them. We vote politicians in for their kingdom. That's our culture. So guess what? We got a culture of self-destruction, a culture that wipes us out. Meanwhile, the other nations, they keeping their culture. They trying to eat their Italian food. They opening Olive Garden. Why is it called Olive Garden? Because it's Italian culture. You understand? They trying to preserve that culture. They trying to preserve, or they manufacture a fake culture for us, like the Arabs do with the Arab chicken joints.
That's right.
That's a manufactured culture stolen from us and now turned around and used against us. We got to wake up. We are the lost 12 tribes of the children of Israel, man. And we to wake up. You gonna play on a little more? That's it. That's it. Listen, can I go to?
I want you to stay strong in the spirit of the Lord. Hey, listen, if you like this tape, hit the like button and share it, man. Hit the share button. Everybody share it to their own personal Facebook accounts. Share this video, man, to wake up brothers and sisters all over this earth. Hit the like button. Check me out Monday night. I'm live every Monday night. I bring the heavy hitters in. We do it up live right on this same channel.